Imagine a betrayal so profound it's remembered for thousands of years, not just as a political move, but as a personal wound from those considered family. During Judah's darkest hour, under siege by the Neo-Babylonian Empire, their neighbors, the Edomites, descendants of a shared ancestor, turned against them. This act wasn't just recorded in history, it was immortalized in the Hebrew Bible, ensuring its memory would never fade. The Edomites didn't just stand by, they actively aided in Judah's downfall, looting, capturing fugitives, and celebrating Jerusalem's destruction. This betrayal directly contributed to the destruction of the First Temple and the Babylonian exile, a turning point in Jewish history. The story reveals the brutal realities of ancient alliances and the devastating cost of broken trust. Even today, the themes of loyalty and betrayal from this ancient saga remain powerfully relevant. To truly grasp the weight of this betrayal, we must first understand the world of Judah, a small but fiercely proud kingdom with the city of Jerusalem at its very heart. This was not just any city, it was a spiritual and political center, revered by its people and envied by its rivals. Jerusalem was home to the magnificent First Temple, a symbol of faith and the enduring legacy of King David. The city's walls echoed with stories of prophets, kings, and a people determined to survive against all odds. Judah's land was a narrow bridge between two ancient giants, Egypt to the southwest and Mesopotamia to the northeast. This strategic location made it a crossroads for trade, culture, and all too often, conflict. Armies marched through its valleys, and merchants brought news of distant wars. The kingdom's survival depended on a delicate balance of diplomacy, military vigilance, and the hope that its neighbors would honor their word. Every decision was a gamble, every alliance a potential risk. By the late 7th century BCE, Judah had become a vassal state under the shadow of Babylon. Its leaders were forced to pay heavy tribute, their autonomy restricted, their future uncertain, as Babylonian envoys watched their every move. Yet beneath the surface, the longing for freedom never faded. Secret negotiations with Egypt offered hope, tempting Judah's rulers to dream of breaking free from Babylon's grip, even as the risks grew ever greater. In this fragile position, trustworthy neighbors were more than allies, they were a lifeline. But the same geography that brought opportunity also left Judah dangerously exposed to betrayal and invasion. The people of Judah lived in a constant state of anxiety, their daily lives overshadowed by the ambitions of empires. Every rumor, every distant trumpet could signal disaster or deliverance. It was in this precarious and uncertain moment that the Edomites' betrayal struck, a devastating blow that compounded Judah's vulnerability and changed the course of its history forever. Judah's betrayal didn't come from a distant enemy, but from Edom, a nation with shared ancestry, descended from Esau, Jacob's twin. This brotherhood made Edom's actions all the more shocking. Despite a history of rivalry and uneasy coexistence, the expectation was that kinship would prevail in crisis. Instead, Edom joined in Jerusalem's destruction, preying on fleeing Judeans and celebrating their downfall. The prophet Obadiah's writings capture the pain and outrage, condemning Edom for gloating and participating in the violence. Edom's betrayal wasn't just political, it was deeply personal, a family feud turned national catastrophe. For centuries, the memory of this treachery would haunt the people of Judah. The wound was not just to a nation, but to the very idea of brotherhood. Why did Edom betray Judah? The answer lies in a tangled history of rivalry, resentment, and opportunity. Edom had long been dominated by Judah, forced into vassalage and tribute. The rise of Babylon gave Edom a chance to break free and settle old scores. Aligning with Babylon promised political favor, territorial gains, and revenge. Economic motives were strong. Edom coveted control of lucrative trade routes and lands Judah once held. With Judah weakened, Edom saw a chance to expand its influence and wealth. Centuries of animosity and a desire to escape Judah's shadow fueled their decision. When the moment came, Edom's betrayal was calculated, not spontaneous. It was the culmination of generations of simmering resentment unleashed at Judah's weakest hour. In 589 BCE, King Zedekiah rebelled against Babylon, triggering a brutal response. Nebuchadnezzar's army besieged Jerusalem, cutting off supplies and hope. Inside the city, famine and disease spread, while the population suffered and waited in vain for Egyptian help. During this siege, Edom's betrayal took shape. They blocked escape routes, captured fleeing Judeans, and handed them to the Babylonians. Instead of offering refuge, Edom became an active enemy, turning the countryside into a deadly trap. The siege dragged on, breaking the city's spirit and order. Prophets like Jeremiah warned of disaster, but the leadership was divided and desperate. Jerusalem became an island of resistance, surrounded by enemies and abandoned by supposed brothers. The Edomites' actions deepened the city's agony, ensuring that no escape was possible. The betrayal was not just military, it was a psychological blow that shattered hope. The emotional devastation of Jerusalem's fall is captured in the Book of Lamentations, a city weeping in the night, its streets echoing with the cries of those who have lost everything. The once vibrant city, filled with life and hope, now lies in ruins, shrouded in sorrow and silence. The people felt utterly abandoned by their allies, by their neighbors, and, most painfully, by God himself. The sense of isolation was overwhelming, as if the world had turned its back on them in their darkest hour. Edom's betrayal added a unique bitterness. To be mocked and hunted by kin was a cruelty beyond conquest, a wound that cut deeper than any sword. The pain of being betrayed by those who should have offered comfort and protection was almost unbearable. The prophet Obadiah describes Edom gloating, turning the suffering of Judah into their own triumph. Instead of empathy, there was celebration at their downfall, a chilling reminder of how quickly bonds can be broken. For those trapped inside the city, the knowledge that escape meant facing Edomite captors was terrifying. Every alley and shadow became a place of fear, as hope for rescue faded and trust in others vanished. The landscape itself became a trap, with no safe haven left. The familiar hills and valleys that once offered protection now seemed to close in, leaving the people with nowhere to run and no one to turn to. This betrayal became a defining trauma, embedding Edom as the archetype of the treacherous brother in Jewish memory. The story of brother turning against brother would haunt generations, shaping how future betrayals were understood. The pain was not just physical loss, but a violation of sacred trust. The grief was compounded by the knowledge that the bonds of family and faith had been shattered, leaving wounds that would not easily heal. The wound left by Edom's actions would echo through Jewish literature and identity for centuries. Poets, prophets, and scholars would return to this moment, seeking meaning in the pain and warning against the dangers of betrayal. The fall of Jerusalem was a national tragedy. Edom's betrayal made it a personal one, turning collective loss into a deeply intimate sorrow that would be remembered and mourned for generations to come. After 18 months of siege, Jerusalem's defenses collapsed. The Babylonians stormed the city, and chaos reigned. Edom's betrayal reached its peak. They encouraged the Babylonians, urging them to destroy the city completely. Edomite forces blocked escape routes, capturing or killing those who fled. They joined in the looting, seizing property and land from their former neighbors. Edom was not just a bystander, but an active partner in Jerusalem's destruction. For the survivors, seeing Edomites among the conquerors was the ultimate insult. The brother had not only watched the house burn, he helped light the fire and plundered the ashes. The destruction of Jerusalem was total. The temple burned, the city razed, and Judah erased as an independent kingdom. The elite were exiled to Babylon, beginning a period of profound crisis and transformation. King Zedekiah's brutal fate served as a warning to others. Rebellion meant annihilation. Edom for a time prospered, gaining land and favor from Babylon. But their triumph was fleeting. Prophets foretold Edom's own downfall for their cruelty. As Babylon's power waned, Edom found itself isolated and vulnerable. Their gains were built on betrayal and the shifting sands of empire. The legacy of their actions left them surrounded by enemies and without lasting security. The price of treachery would eventually come due. History would not forget Edom's role in Judah's darkest hour. Edom's betrayal became a powerful symbol in Jewish memory, etched into the collective consciousness as a warning of what can happen when trust between brothers is shattered. Over time, Edom's name was used as a code word for Rome, another oppressive brother power that would later dominate and devastate the Jewish people. The irony is striking. While Edom's kingdom eventually vanished from the map, its people were gradually pushed from their homeland, their identity fading as they were absorbed into the very society they once opposed. The echoes of their story linger in the stones and sands of the region. The trauma of Jerusalem's fall was a turning point, forcing the Jewish people to reinvent themselves in the face of overwhelming loss and uncertainty. No longer able to rely on their temple, they centered their faith on sacred texts, the rule of law, and the strength of their community, laying the foundation for a new spiritual identity. This era saw the birth of the synagogue and the rise of rabbinic Judaism, as scholars and leaders forged resilience from catastrophe, transforming tragedy into a source of wisdom and unity. The story of Judah and Edom is more than a tale of ancient conflict. It's a timeless lesson in the dangers of betrayal, the pain of broken bonds, and the extraordinary power of survival against all odds. It reminds us that the deepest wounds are often inflicted by those closest to us, and that the scars of such betrayals can shape the destiny of entire peoples. Yet the saga endures, not only as a warning, but as a testament to the enduring strength, adaptability, and hope of a people who refuse to be defined by their losses. History's lessons are never just about the past. They shape how we understand loyalty, trust, and the true cost of broken bonds, echoing through generations. For more stories like this, subscribe and join us as we continue our journey through the echoes of history, uncovering the wisdom and warnings left for us by those who came before.